Good morning, panelists, invited guests, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Onyinye Ikenaimeka, and on behalf of the MTN team, I am so delighted to welcome you all to today's masterclasses, which is the fourth in the series of the Revv Programme masterclasses. The Revv Programme is a give-back initiative by MTN Nigeria aimed at supporting SMEs to rethink, relearn, and retool their businesses for growth during this period and in the aftermath of the pandemic. The program encompasses masterclasses, marketing and productivity support, as well as advisory services, all specially curated for our SMEs. We have had 3 sessions so far with over 1,500 participants collectively, and more than 500 subject-specific questions and comments raised. This speaks clearly to the level of engagement and relevance of this program to our SMEs. Our aim is to ensure that through this program, the SMEs will begin to thrive again and ignite sustainable economic growth. Now, today's class, which I am super excited about, will focus on sales and marketing. 2 very key areas that speak directly to the heart of every business and ultimately every SME. The session will deliberate on product availability and placements, awareness creation, and lead conversions, amongst others. It will bring to life the words of Walter Landau, the English author, which says that products are made in the factory, but brands are created in the mind. Now, before I hand over the session, I would like to remind us all that we have masterclasses every week, and all those who have registered would receive email and SMS invitations to join the subsequent masterclasses. To register or view previous sessions, please visit our website at www.mtnbusiness.com.ng/Revv Programme. Once again, thank you for joining us today as we look forward to an engaging and educative session over the next 2 hours. Now, to introduce our moderator for the day, Josephine Saruk. Josephine is a proficient and goal-driven business leader with over 15 years of experience in strategic and tactical business leadership. Josephine has worked across multiple sales, marketing, and business development disciplines in both large and small technology organizations, as well as consulting for startups and SMEs. Josephine provides coaching and mentorship to graduates as they prepare themselves for the workforce and is dedicated to advancing women entrepreneurs and women-led businesses. She is currently the General Manager, Regional Operations, Lagos and Southwest for MTN Nigeria Communications PLC. Josephine, over to you.
Thank you, Onyinye, and good morning, everyone. Welcome once again to today's masterclass. Today we have a very interesting topic, smart marketing and sales. Your customers are out there. In today's Nigeria, according to United Nations statistics, we have 207 million people living in country. And Facebook's data shows us that 53 million of those are actively engaging on Facebook on a daily basis. Social media monitoring site Inside West states that 18% of social interactions across all social platforms are with businesses. This is a topic that is likely on the mind of most small businesses and entrepreneurs. You have a fantastic product or service to offer, but how do you ensure influx of customers requiring your services and products, keeping in mind that most small business owners do not have an unlimited access to funds or human resources for their marketing and sales activities? With this in mind, is it really a good idea to have an in-house team of sales and marketing experts, or should you really be considering outsourcing? Now, whether you're a small business that has existed for some time, or you're a startup, however you decide to promote or sell your product and service is key to any good business plan. But before we start our discussion today, I'd like to reflect a moment on our topic, smart marketing and sales. Your customers are out there. So where to start? What channels to use, and fear of how much it can cost can be daunting. But as the marketing landscape changes, so does the marketing and sales tools, which are available to help SMEs and entrepreneurs build their brands, acquire, retain customers without spending too much money. Just look at social media. how it continues to grow whilst also helping businesses to grow. New technology and the rise of social channel is changing how we approach marketing, but there is still a room and a place for traditional marketing. What about marketing creativity? Does it have any role to play? Can great networking and relationship building help to create great marketing? Why is it that some people are so successful with their online marketing strategy and keep getting likes and followership while others are struggling? Is there still room for grassroots marketing? If you do decide as a business owner to go ahead and outsource your sales activity to an agency, how do you ensure you still continue to have control of your sales and marketing activities and ensure that you're able to achieve the targets that you've set for the agency remotely? These are some of the areas that we'll be covering in today's discussion with the panel. And by the end of today's session, you will have more insight into how to attract, engage, and retain your customers. To help us gain more insight, I would like to introduce our panel of experts today. So good morning to the panel, and I would like to start with Stephanie Obi. Stephanie Obi is an online course launch strategist who helps entrepreneurs to scale up their businesses with online courses. Some of our clients have been able to roll out 7-figure courses, 10 times their course sales, and quadruple their emails after working with her. Stephanie is also the founder of TrainQuarter, a tech platform which makes it easy for entrepreneurs to host and market their online courses, especially if they're not techies. She's the author of Amazon's best-selling book, Knowledge is the New Gold, and has been featured in the Guardian newspaper, The Punch, as well as on Channels TV and Arise TV. Stephanie, congratulations on your book. Welcome to today's panel discussion.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Our second panelist, Rahul D. Rahul has been with MTN Nigeria PLC since 2015 as Chief Marketing Officer. Prior to his appointment, he was the Chief Marketing Officer for MTN Ghana. Over the last 2 decades, he has held senior roles across India, Malaysia, and now Africa. He has worked across various industries, starting his career with Berger Paints, then moving on to ISP before working in various roles across telecoms with Reliance, Maxis, Aircel, and now MTN. He's currently driving the commercial business of MTN Nigeria. Welcome, Rahul.
I'm very glad to be here. Congratulations for hosting this. Thank you very much.
And our next panelist, Adekunle Adebiyi. Kunle is currently the Chief Sales and Distribution Officer at MTN Nigeria. Kunle joined MTN Nigeria in 2012 as General Manager Consumer Sales, after which he became the General Manager Northern Region Operations. Before joining MTN, Kunle worked as Director of Sales at Visafone Communications Limited, with responsibility for their Northern Nigeria business operations. Head of Commercial at Celtel Nigeria and Area Sales Manager at Livestock Feed PLC. He joined Econet Wireless Nigeria in 2001 at the inception of GSM Revolution in Nigeria. An award-winning career spanning over 20 years in the private sector has seen Kunle bagged awards such as CEO Eagle Award, Excellence Performance, in addition to other leadership awards. Welcome to today's session, Kunle.
Thank you so very much. Welcome, everyone. I do believe this is going to be exciting and, of course, informative as well. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Welcome again, Kunle. We have a poll on at the moment. Please participate in the poll, and kindly keep in mind that participation in the poll also enters you into a chance of joining our Yellow 200 list. So our next participant is Elo Ume. Elochukwu Ume is an entrepreneur who has worked in mobile and digital media in the African continent for over 15 years. He has gained valuable experience in different countries, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire. He was part of the founding consultants team that grew a mobile technology startup and took it public in Nigeria. Halo has consulted widely for various organizations in the telecoms and banking sector, including the World Bank and International Financial Corporation, on development of rural telephoning activities, mobile payments in West Africa, and deployment of new products. Through his passion and drive, he founded Africa's leading data and marketing technology business, Terragon Group. The business serves various multinationals and local brands with offices in leading commercial cities across Africa. Nairobi, Accra, Johannesburg, and headquartered in Lagos. Elu is passionate about leveraging the unique ways Africa uses mobile devices to intelligently connect brands to their customers. Welcome, Elu.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here to share some of our experiences and also to learn from other panelists and also the audience. I'm looking forward to a great time, and thanks for having me, Josephine.
Nice to have you here. Our next panelist is Dr. Dipo Awojide. Dr. Dipo Awojide obtained a PhD in strategic management from Loughborough University. He has worked in the banking and financial services sector as a human resource researcher in the UK. Currently, he's senior lecturer in strategy at Nottingham Business School. He has expertise in strategy, management, personal and professional development, and leadership and employability. Dr. Awojide is also the founder of BTD Hub, a human capital development company. He takes a genuine interest in the development of early and mid-career professionals, teams, and organizations. He delivers training and sessions to optimize individual and organizational performances. In December 2019, he was unveiled as Top 20 LinkedIn Voice UK for his personal and professional development articles and comments. Congratulations on that, Dr. Dipo, and welcome to today's session.
Thank you very much, Josephine. I'm happy to be here.
And to our final panelist, Opeoluwa Filani. Opeoluwa Filani is a sales professional with experience spanning the last 16 years across different industries: marketing, courier, banking, mobile advertising, telco, VAS, and media industry. He has championed the market entry of 3 international media companies into Nigeria. As General Manager, Sales West Africa Business News, CBN Africa, and Forbes Africa. He was Country Manager at Voice and is in his current role as Country Sales Director for JCD Decor. He holds an MBA from Warwick University, UK, and a Master's in Science in International Marketing from the Aberdeen Business School, UK, and a first degree in Mechanical Engineering. Welcome, Opeoluwa. And once again, welcome to all our panelists. So to start today's discussion, I'd like to dive right in there. And my first question will be directed at Dr. Dipo. Dr. Dipo, as an SME today, considering I have limited resources and funds for my marketing and sales strategy, what would be your recommendation and immediate first steps for any business owner, startup, or entrepreneur to ensure I'm effective in my marketing and sales?
Thank you very much for that question, Josephine. So for small and micro enterprises, for people who are just starting out in business, or for those, who have recently, created a small business, you need to first of all, create a presence on social media. So my first recommendation would be to create a business account or handle on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. Those are like the 3 main channels. So Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you want to ensure that your name or, your brand is actually, basically you have the same name across all these platforms. So you don't want to be Oladipo Awojide on Instagram, then you are Dipo Adeboye on Twitter, and a different name on Instagram. So you want to ensure, consistency in your branding. So any channel that anyone goes to look for you, your name is consistent. Dipo Awojide or Dr. Dipo Awojide at Ogbeni Dipo. Okay, so this might be, your business name. So make sure that there's consistency. You can also, create a LinkedIn account depending on the product or service that you are offering to the markets. LinkedIn accounts, selling on LinkedIn actually works. You might go further and create a Telegram account. A Telegram account even makes it more personal. So now you've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Telegram. Some people also have YouTube channels, where they use in advertising, their product and services. All of this, means of advertising, marketing, and selling yourself is very, very important. But what is even more important than that is word of mouth from satisfied, word of mouth, advertising from satisfied customers or satisfied clients, as the case may be. Then you want to ensure that you have a targeted audience. You are not trying to sell to everybody. You are not trying to sell to the whole country. So you could, more or less create, just come up with a market segment. So market segments could be, from the ages of 0 to 5, could be from, 5 to 17, 18 to 35, 35 to 50 or 55, as the case may be. Market segmentation could be on the basis of age. It could be on the basis of, family income or individual income. It could be on the basis of, gender. So some people, products or services are targeted at men. Some are targeted at women. It could be based on geographical basis. So you could be, just targeting Southwest alone, for example, or targeting, the northern part of the country or the eastern part of the country. So you want to ensure that, you engage in what is known as market segmentation and target, just one or a few market segments. Why? Because you are just starting out. Don't try to advertise to everybody. Don't try to sell to everybody. Focus on a niche market. Then you also want to ensure that you more or less, create a strategy. You don't have a lot of money. So your resources, the scarce resources that you have, you need to use it adequately. You can try, Facebook advertising or Instagram advertising. It actually helps. It has helped in growing our business, PTDT Hub. And I say to other small businesses as well, try Facebook advertising. It's not so expensive. Try, advertising on Instagram as well. It's not, it's relatively very affordable. Twitter, it's a bit tricky. If you have friends who are influencers on Twitter, tag them, share your posts, share your tweets with them, and just plead with them to retweet on your behalf. And most of the time they actually would do. I retweet and share a lot. I promote a lot of small businesses on my timeline to at least 650,000 people on a daily basis. Then you want to ensure that when you are starting out, try out a few things, and whatever works, be consistent. So if advertising on Facebook or on Instagram actually works, be consistent. If using the same keywords, when you advertise your product or when you advertise your services, if that, if it works for you, make sure you use the same keywords repeatedly. And you also want to ensure that you use repetitions, okay? Because you are trying to create a brand that people will remember. You are trying to craft an identity, that people will remember. Your color, your tone, your brand elements, everything actually, has to come together. And of course, it goes without saying that you need a website. Okay, so these are, some very, important points or important, pointers or hints for folks who are just, starting out a small business or, a micro business, and they don't have a lot of money, like MTN, for example. So you want to try, as much as possible that you manage the little resources that you have on your website. Make sure that the payment platform is seamless or the payment process is seamless. You want to ensure that when you advertise on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, that you have a call to action. So a call to action basically is, at the end of the day, you've posted this flyer, you've posted this tweet or this Instagram post. What should people do? Okay, so should they go to your website? Should they click on a link? Should they fill out a form? So these are some important points, and I hope it helps small businesses out there.
Thank you so much, Dipo. Very enlightening. So some of the things that I picked from what you've said was, it is critical to ensure that as a startup, you have a social media presence. I also heard you talk about consistency of brand. So you want to stay true to a specific message that you're trying to get across to your audience. Also, you talked about segmentation, ensuring that you understand your market, you know the people you're targeting, and what's the ideal target for your specific product. So don't overstretch yourself, because even though social media advertising can be relatively cheap, if you are experimental, it can become very expensive very fast. So ideally, stick with a minimum of maybe 2 social media platforms that works for the target audience that you are looking to sell to. Also look out for high value and high engagement platforms. So these are some really, really good information we're getting from you. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Dipo. So I'll go on to my next panelist. We have some really good questions coming through. Now, Kule, most SMEs are experiencing a reduced presence and or customer footfall in their businesses. Now, how should SMEs ensure continued business access through innovation, cost-effective sales and distribution methods? What would your recommendation be?
Thank you so very much. I think most of the points that Ogbeni Dipo already mentioned answers practically all the questions. In fact, by the time he finished putting the points forward, I thought that probably would be the end of the session today. So thank you so much, Dipo. I mean, you did a good job. So if businesses are experiencing a loss, what should the businessman do? Do you fold up and go home, or do you find innovative ways of dealing with the law? First thing I'd like to say is the product that you're selling, okay, is the first most important thing that you need to look at, really. What are you selling? So I know, for example, people who are poultry farmers, and permit me to just now make it very practical, because yes, we've spoken about those things that are a lot high level, okay, presence on social media. Now, the question is, if you are present on social media and you are still not selling, what do you do? Okay, so at some point, people who are poultry farmers will experience a lull in egg purchases, for example. So people are not buying the eggs and you keep on producing the eggs. So what will you do? That's where the question of innovation comes in. What do you do with the eggs that you are not able to sell? Is it possible to convert it to powder? And these are practical examples. So people in Nigeria found ways of doing a conversion of these eggs into egg powder that they are now selling to bakers. If there was no law, they probably would not even think that it was possible to get to the point where they can do a conversion. Is there a possibility that you can convert whatever you're selling? Is there a possibility that you can do storage? Is there a possibility that you can also now step up your advertising, okay, and marketing? Or is there a possibility that you can add additional propositions to make whatever you are selling now attractive to more customers? How is it possible for you to widen the base? Coming to MTN, because what we're trying to do is to draw parallel. Okay, so what are big organizations doing? At some point when we had a situation where people were not coming out because of COVID-19, people had to work from home and have to stay at home. We devised what we call the door-to-door project rescue. And what we were doing was actually delivering to the homes of the consumers. Have you explored the possibility? So like I said, it depends on what you're selling. If you're selling food items, for example, and you are not experiencing the kind of footfall that you would ordinarily have expected, are you going to now get to the point where you will also now start to rescue the people by delivering to their homes? And I like to always to also now refer to one product recently that really caught my fancy. If you live in Lagos and you travel on Lagos Ekpe Express, there's a place where they used to sell boiled corn opposite Lagos Business School. You will be amazed with the number of vehicles that you will see parked there, especially during rainfall, rainy season, when corn in the season of corn production. But in recent times, I went to ShopRite and found that they now sell corn in ShopRite. Within a few months of us getting used to eating this corn, I don't know who produces this corn, but of course, I can tell you now for no fee that whoever it is has hit a jackpot, because today people now go into ShopRite to queue for this same corn. How do you determine where your customers are? How do you get into? Because of course, a lot of people will not drive to LBS, but they can go into ShopRite. And now they are meeting the corn at ShopRite. So when you feel a lull, apart from coming up with innovative ideas to make the product better, you need to expand your base by taking the products to where the customers are. And that, for me, is the most important part of selling. Availability at the doorstep of whoever the buyer is. If you want to do, and I like to also look at lottery, for example. If you are setting up a lottery business, be it as an SME or as a big organization, will you set up shop in Victoria Island or will you set up shop in Ojuelegba? These are some of the points you really need to think about, depending on what you're selling. Where are your customers based? And of course, in segmenting, just like Deepo said, you understand exactly the demography, you understand those who you are targeting, and of course, you take the product to them. This will be some of the ideas around how you can, of course, clear the law in buying the product you're selling.
Thank you so much for that, Kunle. A lot of interesting points from you. I hear diversification. So in a tough market, look at other things that you can actually add. So value-added services that you can provide to your market. Also start to become more creative. If traditionally your customers buy from you, but you're in a difficult period like the pandemic, then try to look for mediums in which you start to offer delivery services. So anything you can do to add value-added services to your business. If you traditionally just sew dresses, maybe you want to start diversifying and expanding to inner garments and so on. So I really like that. Also, I think what I got a lot from you was creativity. You have to be creative and you have to be innovative. Once innovation stops, that's the death of your business. So thank you very much, Kunle. I really like those points that are coming from you there. Now, our next panelist, Rahul. Rahul, in building trust post-pandemic, how can businesses develop a bold brand strategy, channel authenticity, and a robust digital customer journey?
Thank you, Josephine, and thank you, Dr. Deepo and Kunle. Very insightful. I would say very, very insightful and very solid messages you passed on. The COVID-19 actually has not happened before. Let's put it this way. So this is a pandemic which has just kind of hit us. We hope and pray it doesn't happen again. But it has changed a lot of things. Now, a couple of things which has changed is, if you look at it, the traffic has moved from offline to online. What I mean is that, you know, all our people who are traveling from one state to another, from city to another city, to workplaces, are all working from home or have been under lockdown. Now, where is the traffic moving? This traffic has all moved online, which means that there is a boom in the data usage, whether it is WhatsApp, whether it is Instagram, whether it's any other social media. Now, in marketing parlance, and I'm not a very big guru of marketing, it's just a very practical, you know, information I just wanted to share with you, is that, look, even Kunle alluded to the fact, Dr. Deepo alluded to the same fact, is that building trust is super important, and especially when you are in SME business and you are just starting a business. Now, the first and foremost, which Kunle also alluded, was fish where the fish are. That means that, you know, you need to understand what is that segment you are tracking, what is that segment you are going after, because any good product, any good, I would say, industry, any good business has always attempted to kill one gap. The identification of that gap, what is that gap that why is somebody going to buy your product or come to buy your corn and not go to somebody else, is super critical. It could be price, it could be quality, it could be availability, it could be many things, or it could be a sum total of everything. It could be just one niche. If you look at some of these apps like Uber and, you know, and all these apps, what did they do? What they did was that in the high volume journey, which is like, there are so many clicks, so many steps a person has to take, they took out 2 or 3 steps out. And that was the differentiation factor between them and the second best. Now, as a SME, we need to understand what is that volume journey or what is that gap area which we are filling up. And that's very critical, because once we identify, then comes to building the trust, because it's not always that, you know, we can go in and splash money into the market. We don't have too many deep pockets all of the time, you know. So it is very, very critical that we work on testimonials. Dr. Deepo alluded to a lot of digital strategies. So I won't go too much into a digital strategy because that actually has answered most of the questions. But if you look at the conventional way, sampling is super critical, because it leads to somebody using your product and getting used to your product, and there's a word of mouth, positive or negative. Gone are those days, when you are asking for any feedback from your family, friends, your brother, sister, how do they feel the product is. Today you go online and you can have so many reviews of any product. So it's very, very critical that in case there is any review, bad or good, you need to answer that review in a positive way, in a way which is transparent. We should not attempt to answer any of these reviews or queries in a way where we are playing defensive. If your customers believe that you're playing defensive, you're hiding facts, and you're not telling the true story, they will not, and believe you me, they will not buy your product in a repeated way. They may buy it one time, but not a repeat purchase, because it's very critical to do that. The second most important factor is about the testimonials. And why I'm alluding to fact is that as a SME, as a small business, we start small, but then we start growing, we grow. In the journey somewhere, we tend to lose the whole touch with our customers. And when they are talking to us back about something which they have picked up and we don't understand why they are talking about that, in the future, we may not be able to justify and make sure that our products are better. That also will help us in identifying the channels, because every channel is not that effective. Some channels are more effective for certain category of products, and certain channels are more effective for other category of products, which could be, if you define between a consumer, if you define between a digital, there's a lot of products which we are selling. All of the time we are interacting. Every interaction is a moment of truth. Every moment of truth builds brand trust, and that's extremely critical for us. Now, if you also look at it, if you look at I again keep on repeating these high volume journeys, because as SMEs, it's very critical that how much of a step a customer has to take. And Kunle alluded to the fact again that, you have many models. You can have a hub and spoke model. What it means is that you can do a central distribution, and from there you send your products to the regional, or you can have a advanced system where you just cater to one certain region, just to check whether there is a requirement, there is a need for your product. And as SMEs, it is super critical for us to understand that when we step up the gas, we need to identify the gaps, make sure that the single point of failures in any of our products and services are taken care, whether it's from a supply chain management, whether it's from a quality of product, whether it's the availability of product. And when it comes to the time, when we push the pedal, we are ready from scalability, because again in SME, scalability is again a very important point of view, because many times what happens is that there is a single source from where we are taking a supply of any product. Now what happens that it fails for some reason? Do you have a backup? If you don't have a backup, what do you do? Because your brand trust is as good as somebody like, let's say, a couple of hours in that case, because somebody wants a product and you can produce your product and you cannot give your product, then what happens? The brand trust just goes backwards by a couple of months, and it will take you a year to come back. And believe you me, there are so many competition out there that the next best is just waiting for a single mistake. So there is no chance and there is no choice for us to make mistakes. So from my side, because Dr. Deepo and Kunle already spoke a lot about the digital, I won't go into a lot of digital, because there are gurus sitting on this panel who know much more than me. Thank you very much, Josephine, for that.
Thank you. So Rahul, a lot of great insights from you there. Some of my favorites, which I picked from you, again, similar to what Dr. Deepo and Kunle had alluded to, which is talking about segmenting your target audience. But you also added to that by saying that whatever it is you're doing must fill a gap. So it is one thing to go into business for profit, but your business also has to have a purpose it's serving. So what gap is your business trying to fill, and what's the purpose? Also, it's very important for you to gain trust from your customers. I think most business people will always tell you that it takes 80% of effort to acquire a new customer, but about 20% to retain those customers. So you talked a lot about customer retention. I also know I've seen studies where it says it's cost 5 times as much to gain a new customer than it does to actually retain an old customer. So customer retention is critical. And you talked a lot about testimonials and referrals. So beyond just having an existing customer to upsell and cross-sell to, You're also talking a lot about the fact that your existing customers can actually bring you new customers through referrals and testimonials. Well, word of mouth is still one of the most powerful marketing tools out there today. So that's fantastic. And the only way to achieve this is through brand trust, which you talked quite a lot about. Great stuff. Thank you so much for that, Rahul. We already have quite a lot of messages, questions coming in, and we have 805 participants so far. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Please do keep the question coming. Elo, this question is for you. So Dr. Dikwa talked earlier about advertising online, serving ads, and so on. However, as a business owner, I'm serving ads. I am buying a lot of ad space. I am running Facebook advertising and so on. But I'm just not getting the conversion. People are not interacting with my ads. What is wrong, and what would you suggest that I do to improve my conversion rates and just to improve people participating and engaging with me online?
Thank you, Josephine. Yeah, I think there has been very strong context set by Deepo, by Kunle, and by Rahul. But just, I will pick up, I think the answer already to that question was implied, and Rahul has spoken to it a lot, which is trust. And what is the how do we build trust? We build trust from experiences, from storytelling, from engagement. So at the heart of advertising or marketing is the ability to tell a compelling story, the ability to connect with the market, the ability to connect with your target market. So riding on the elementary nature of this platform today, we can essentially try to drill down. The target here is SMEs. Who are you trying to reach? Say, for instance, I sell yogurt in Yaba, and I have a small store that has 2 sales agents. Yogurt is a perishable. Over a period of time, yogurt is going to, if I don't sell my yogurt, I will not earn a return. I will not make my money back, and it's going to spoil. And my distributor will also be in trouble. So how do I make sure I sell my yogurt before it even arrives at the store? I need to tell a stronger story than the next person who is selling the yogurt on that street. Say we take the street example in Yaba as Iwaya Road. There are probably 3 or 4 supermarkets on Iwaya Road. And Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp are all channels I can use to sell that yogurt. The first thing that needs to happen is I must tell a story to the audience within Iwaya Road that attracts them to come to my store to buy that yogurt. And what do they want? You don't know if they like vanilla yogurt, if they like plain yogurt, if they like sweetened yogurt or unsweetened yogurt. How do I put that together in a way that is very specific, that is very attractive? Can I, if Iwaya Road, the people on Iwaya Road are professionals and mid-market managers, do I sell it to them in English language? Do I sell it to them in Yoruba language? How do I get an edge in my communication on that yogurt? And I also have a time frame of, say, 1 to 2 weeks to be able to tell that story. So at the heart of it is how compelling, how do I tell a story? Am I going to use video? Am I going to use SMS? If I'm going to use SMS, who am I speaking to? What is stronger? If I'm going to use video, do these people, can they afford extended periods of time on Instagram and Facebook using their data? Or can I send videos to them where I take the cost of that video? These are things that are also possible. So it is really, first of all, the story, how I'm communicating it, what channels I'm using, and how I'm making it as attractive as possible for them to consume that communication, to make sure that the communication lands with them. It makes no sense if you put it on Facebook, your targeting is not right, you don't know who you're speaking to. So first of all, who am I speaking to? Know who your customer is. And there's a number of ways to figure out who your customer is. Then it's really from knowing your customer, you figure out what kind of story you want to tell. And from what kind of story do you want to tell, you figure out what channel. And from the channel, you make sure that it lands the customer consumes the communication, and then you measure Because if measurement doesn't happen, you don't know what works, and you cannot improve on what has worked and what hasn't worked. If I use English language to speak to the guy on Iwaya Road, and I use Pidgin English to speak to the guy in Oshodi, how do I test and make sure that the communication or the language, the choice of language, work effectively? These are all options. These are guardrails that help us chart a course to figuring out the effectiveness of advertising or marketing messages.
Thank you so much for that, Elu. Wonderful. So Elo says we need to make sure whatever communication we're putting out there tells a story. We cannot just be putting up ads and saying buy, buy, buy. So there are ways in which you can soft sell is what I'm hearing. And you can soft sell by just ensuring you have a compelling story, which will make you stand out from your competitor. He also said, add your unique persona. So if you're going to stand out from the other person who's selling the same product as you, there has to be something unique about what you're selling. And we all have our individual personas. Bring your persona out in your advertising, make it all compelling. He also talked about product mix in your advertising. So don't just stick to just pictures. You can actually use videos, and videos can be very helpful as well in getting a message across without actually hard selling and adding a buy. Just by putting a compelling video that tells a story, people can be attracted. He also talked about segmentation, which we've been hearing a lot about all morning. So each of our speakers, if you pay attention, have all talked about segmentation. So clearly this is very important. Segment your market and segment the message specific to individual markets. He talked about language. So use a specific language for a specific area. You might want to use Pidgin if you're targeting people in a particular area, and you might want to use Yoruba if you're speaking to people in a specific area. So he talked about using language. And one other thing that you can use, Elo was talking about the fact that you need to ensure that wherever you're placing your ad, you're engaging with people, right? So you could actually take advantage of micro influencers. These are inexpensive compared to mega influencers. Mega influencers, you'd be competing with large businesses, but with micro influencers, these are people with about 5,000 followers, and most of them are happy to just have your product for free and advertise without asking for money. And if they do, it'll be very minute sum. So thank you so much, Elo, for that. Brilliant. Let's move on to our next. I've got about 164 questions so far, so we'll try and get through as many of them as possible. Stephanie, this one is for you. Most businesses thrive off referrals and returnees. How can SMEs build their brand to foster loyalty and engagement? I know Rahul touched on this, but do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I do. So, like every small business, I also started off with, referrals and people within my community, my network, who were referring me to business. But what I found was that it wasn't sustainable. So the day somebody does not refer you, you don't have any income coming in. So what I started to do differently was to build an online community. So it's scary at first to put yourself out there and to, start talking to people and, to start showing your face on social media. But I started to do it. I know what I realized, that people respond to people. Like if I talk to people, they'll talk back at me. And what started happening was that it started becoming as if they were my friends. And because they were always seeing me online, we're always talking, I would share pictures, I would share stories, I would share videos, I would laugh sometimes. The fear of, oh, I don't want to buy online started reducing because people started seeing me as somebody, like, this person is run by this business is run by this person, and I know her. And what happens when you do this consistently is that you build a brand in the minds of people. And what's more important, the biggest thing is that you now get other people to start talking about you. So when you build an online community, it's not just you saying, hey, we are this, we are the best, we are the best, we are great. What now happens is that you build an army of people who are talking about you and who are referring you. So one of the biggest ways that I've found that you can build a solid brand online is by building an online community. In fact, they can even, sometimes they'll give themselves names and they'll just start, they're always talking about you in rooms that you're not present in. They'll be speaking about you, promoting your business, and sometimes you can give them an incentive to promote your business for you, and they'll do it because they now like you. It's so, like, it can be so simple. People buy from people that they like. All right. So if you have a brand that is likable, what you find is that you will build an army of people who can start building your brand with you. And it's not just you now have a community. That's what I'll add.
Stephanie, I love you. So I got a lot of really interesting cues from you. So you said build an online community. Wow. Like social media is for socializing. I mean, the title itself, it says it all. Social media is for socializing. So build a community of followers, share content with your followers, make sure that the content you're sharing with them is shareable so that your followers can carry on sharing that same content on their own platform. And that's just free advertising for you right there. That is brilliant. You're building an army without even spending any money at all, really, from what you've just said. And people like people, so be likable, and the rest will follow. Quite a lot of insight from you there, Stephanie. Thank you so much. So I'll move on to Okwe. Okwe, out of home, billboards have seemingly been out of reach for MSMEs. How can new digital OOH channels be made accessible and affordable prices for SMEs? Okwe? I seem to have lost Okwe, so I will go on to Rahul. Would you like to take a stab at that? Affordability.
Very interesting point. So what we are talking about is affordability. If you could just, Josephine, repeat once more for me about what exactly we would be talking here, so that I can add some more value to it.
So very basic, most SMEs can't afford billboard advertising, right? So how do they ensure that they're able to afford these sorts of advertising? So we're looking at out of home. What sort of out of home advertising can they do, since billboards have seemingly been out of reach to MSMEs till date?
So a very, very interesting question you have asked. Actually, this is, it's not only about SMEs, it's also very relevant to large organizations, because, in our, let's say in our quest for gaining attention or advertising, sometimes we lose contact with the grassroots level, at the grassroots level. Now, if you look at the various medias where we are spending, larger part of media spending is around radio, around conventional TVs, which could be satellite, terrestrial. It could also be print ads. And then the new kid on the block is all about the digital stuff, right? But if you heard all our panelists, and very relevant points, Stephanie also made a very relevant point, is that, people want to see one-to-one. It could be one-to-many in social media, but one-to-one always scores a bit higher than one-to-many, where, people don't see you talking to them, they see you talking at them. So that becomes a bit of a challenge. But, if you look at other media spend, there are some things like, bulk SMS. It's not very costly but it's a very one-to-one, because already segmented by any telecom operator. There are many, I would say, organizations who are reselling the bulk SMSs in the market. And depending on which segment you want to attempt, depending on your product category, depending on which geographical area you want to go, you can attempt these kind of methods also to reach out. I'm going a bit beyond conventional, because conventional obviously is, you reach out to people and talk to them, but, it takes a lot of time, effort, and also, you may miss out on certain critical people you want to reach out. So you need to attempt some kind of, I would say, digital, but not necessarily internet-based, but not internet-based also. So
some sort of grassroots marketing.
Yes. So where I'm coming from is that if you look at it if you look at 100 years back, 50 years back, there was a person with a horn out there in the market talking about the product. It's still very relevant in many of the rural areas where, you give it to, I don't know what's the name for the person, but there is certain days in the market when there is a wet market which happens, and company's promoter comes and starts, talking about the product through a megaphone. And so, but that is very local, If you can't reach too much of geographical area just by having a megaphone guy talking about your product, or you have canvassers standing on the road and waiting for certain passerbys, and and depending on your luck, how many people will pass on that road. It is still very still very localized. So where I'm coming from is that if you look at ATL, a BTL, which is above the line, and BTL is below the line, you have something like a through the line, TTL. Like bulk SMS and all are all TTL based. Telegrams, Dr. Deepa was mentioning about Telegram. These are something which is TTL based. I'm not talking about social media, but I'm talking about TTL, because you have your 300, 200, 100, people who are online with you. You can talk to them, and it's not that you always need to be online with a persona, and you have to write a lot of text out there. There are many products, such products out there where you need to reach out, where you can reach out to your own customers, or to people who would be interested in your product. And there are many more of these categories coming up, which is like, if you look at even Truecaller, Truecaller is advertising on their own. So right now it is not only finding out who is calling you, but it's a simple product where if you see on Truecaller, you also have people who are advertising their products. And when you are getting a call from unknown person, while you are attempting to find out who the person is, there is an ad which is also coming. I'm saying there are so many innovations which are happening, and they are not very costly. They are in between. And then there is a whole stream which you can work on. So there is no one answer to the question. There are many answers depending on which segment, which category, which product, which pricing, where are you reaching out? It all depends on that. Is it a local market driven? Is it a geography driven? Depends on that. So this is a kind of answer which I wanted to give. Maybe some other panelists could also add some value to it by maybe trying to answer it, because they may have some nuggets of information on that.
Thank you so much, Rahul. I believe Okwe is back, so I'm going to direct the question at him again. But I just wanted to highlight what you said, which I really liked. One-to-one advertising. There is still so much room for one-to-one advertising, even in this social and technology age. You talked about TTL, through the line advertising, taking advantage of bulk SMS, taking advantage of Truecaller, email advertising as well. People seem to forget that email is a great medium for us to use to engage with people. So let's not forget that email. These are just the kinds of kobo advertising that you can do at a dime. So brilliant. Okay, if you are with us, this question was directed at you originally. It's about out-of-home billboards have seemingly been out of reach for MSMEs, and how can new digital OOA channels be made accessible and at affordable prices? So any thoughts from you on that?
Okay, thank you. Apologies that my network broke in between. This perception is not really out of place. This is however changing with the prevalence of digital out-of-home assets deployed more and more in major cities. And the media owners are deploying this in such a way that they can democratize how out-of-home is sold, offering content management systems that allow for ads to be deployed based on certain conditions. A lot of my other panelists have been advocating for mobile and digital platforms. I agree that they're important, but what we have seen as a company is basically called using our Lagos traffic information system is that traffic is actually more now than this time last year. So people are actually on the street. I guess people are working from home, but they are still on the streets at the same time. One of the greatest benefits of out-of-home media in today's marketing is the ability for the out-of-home media to amplify other media channels. So if you look at out-of-home as a standalone, it will seem like it's expensive if you use it on its own. But research has also shown that there is an incremental return on your investment if your overall media plan, you use other channels to the plan. Most SMEs that you have right now, like most of my other panelists have alluded to, they focus more on mobile digital advertising, which has lower cost entry points than digital out-of-home. This is why that perception continues. However, there are other far-reaching benefits for the SMEs when they pair their mobile advertising to digital out-of-home campaigns. Digital out-of-home itself should be seen as an extension of any desktop or mobile phone that people see. The two channels reinforce each other and the frequency of messaging in itself. So if I would answer to your question that how can SMEs leverage on digital out of home and make it cheaper. I think the first thing I'd like to say is collaboration. We've seen examples which I would kudos to MTN when they ran the Man in the Box campaign, I think about 2 years ago, and I'm sure there was a lot of good feedback from that. You find out that if you have a big platform, those platforms can then use their platform to promote MSMEs, which is similar to what we're doing here. As a company of ourselves, we do have packages targeting that are targeted at SMEs. We have packages that allows for day part buying, which this costs across most of digital out-of-home players. What digital out-of-home allows for is because you have so much inventory, you'll understand what I mean by inventory. Say the number of ad spots that are available for SMEs to use, the digital out-of-home platforms allow for the almost similar targeting that you have on desktop or mobile. You can do location-based advertising. You can do day part advertising. You can advertise based on weather conditions. With just name any form of condition that you have. As long as you have the data source, you can connect it to a content management system that most of these digital out-of-home platforms, and we do have that as JCD Core, and it makes the pricing point for you cheaper. So in a sense, the perception is there, but depending on what stage these SMEs are, if they're open to a larger reach, which they will get from digital out-of-home or from other traditional media, it's available, and the perception of expensive will become cheap. It will reduce if the return that they get using these platforms are greater. Thank you. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, Okwe, thank you so much. I think for me, the strongest point I got out from everything you were saying is collaboration. So collaboration can help make it quite cost effective, and just looking for the right partners to work with. Also, out-of-home media can be used to amplify other medias that you are working on. So it doesn't have to be a standalone. You can just make sure that you combine it. I think that's brilliant. Thank you so much for your inputs. We have 804 participants online at the moment. Once again, thank you all for joining us today and being part of today's session. If you joined us midway, no worries, the session is being recorded. After this session, you can go on MTN Nigeria YouTube channel and catch up on anything that you missed out on previously. Also, just to let you know that after today's session, we are also partnering with Facebook. We're partnering with Facebook, and we'll be offering Revv Programme sessions, digital marketing training sessions. So invites will be shared later on with all participants. Thank you again for being part of today's session. And now I'll go to some of the questions that we have from some of our audience. We have 226 questions. Wow. So let's see if we can get through as many as possible. Hello, I have a niche service I provide and have good media mileage on what I do. Therefore, I have a lot of inquiries, but 99% don't convert into sales. I don't want to lower my fees. What can I do? Stephanie, any ideas?
So many times when people meet you online for the first time, they're not going to buy. All right. So I think that if you understand that, you will not feel too bad. Because just think about it, when you see something online, you just bring out your wallet and just start buying for it. You won't, you understand? So people buy when they get comfortable. So continue, like don't get discouraged that people are not buying now. It's okay, that they will buy next year, they'll buy in 2 years' time. But if you are consistent, let me tell you what happens. If you're consistent, when the sale starts coming, when the sale starts coming, it's, it rains. The second thing you can do is that you always, if you want people to buy now, you always have to give people a reason to buy now. Otherwise, they'll buy tomorrow, they'll buy next year, they'll buy in 2 years' time. Always give them a reason to buy now. So I recommend that you do a lot of promotions, all right? Give them something to act on. And once again, some people will act on the promotion, some people will not, and it's okay because they will buy tomorrow if you remain in touch. So if you decide to do Facebook ads, for instance, if you're marketing through Facebook ads, one of the most powerful things you can be doing is retargeting. All Facebook will be doing for you is to putting your face in the minds of people. Every day they will see your face. Every day they'll see your face. One day they will buy. And if you do this consistently, what happens is that you start getting sales. So try Facebook remarketing, try emails, keep sending people emails, keep sending people messages. One day is your day. That's what I'll add.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I love that. Consistency, stay in the faces of the customer. It says, I've heard it said that it takes about 7 impressions before you actually get someone to interact. So the more you keep putting yourself out there, the better a chance you have that someone will eventually go ahead and do it. I don't know, for those of you who are big on Instagram, you've probably seen an ad going around saying, one day someone will buy, just keep advertising. And I think that's what Stephanie is alluding to. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I love that. Just keep advertising. Okay, so I have another question here. I started a new business in cleaning and environmental sector. I've done all the handbills, e-card stuff. What else can I do to actually hit more potential customers? Kule, would you like to help us with that?
So the question again is, you have started a cleaning business.
Cleaning and environmental business. I've done all the handbills, so going door to door, giving out flyers, e-cards. What else can I do?
I think Stephanie just answered that question as well. Don't ever stop. Okay.
Rubber on the road.
I think rubber on the road. So I used to say to salespeople, and permit me to always be very practical, so that we can bring this home. So it won't look as if we're just speaking grammar. If I manage a set of salespeople, the question I always ask them is, have you been in touch with your customers? The answer is yes. Have you been in touch with your potential customers? You can never ever tell me that you have hit the glass roof. Because if you tell me that you have hit the glass roof, I will tell you to break the glass and still keep going. So if you are in VI, I don't know where the location of this business is, but assuming you are in Victoria Island, can you say to me that you have entered all the offices around your neighborhood once a month in the last 12 months? You do not know when the customer or that potential customer will be tired of the person that is doing the cleaning today, and they are ready to change that service provider. It is the next person that they see or the next name that keeps ringing in their head that they are going to remember. So I'm not saying you have to now constitute yourself to a nuisance by going there every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You can't do that because they probably will now get irritated, which in itself is not completely bad. Practical example, someone was selling poultry feeds. I mean, agriculture is my best, aside the telecoms, is my go-to business. Okay, so someone was selling poultry feed. And this gentleman, a sales rep, kept on going to the farmer, to this very big farmer who vowed never to use another poultry sample feed other than the one he was using. But this gentle sales rep kept on going there week in, week out. And the moment he gets there, the farmer says, "But I've told you, I cannot change my feed." He said, no, I've not come here to tell you to change your feed. I've only come to ask you, how are your birds doing? Okay, now the seller, the original seller, has become so comfortable. They don't even check on this farmer anymore. They already believe that we have him. He's in our pocket. And one day, this rep that visits every week got there and the birds were sick. And the farmer says, my birds, they are even sick. And the guy says, oh, I can help you. And the gentleman says, but I'm not even buying anything from you. He said, no, don't worry. Let's keep the birds alive. And this rep treated 17,000 laying birds for this farmer, and they stopped dying. By the time the guy got there the following week, the farmer was ready. He knew he was going to come. And he carried his bag and he says, take me in your car. Let's go to your office. And they go to his office, "I'd like to see your manager." And he says to the manager, "This is the best salesperson I've ever seen in my life. You know what? I'm changing my feet today." And that was how the people who kept him or who had him all the years could not retain him, and he became a customer of another person. How often are you visiting those people that are your potential customers? So are you giving up because, okay, yes, you have done everything, or you think you have done everything? I mean, if you have a school, for example, and today, maybe you started the school in January, and you are thinking that by September, the whole classrooms will be filled. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to keep on going to your potential customers, let them see you, add value, solve some other problems for them that can now make them change their mind to come to you. And always remember, at some point, something will happen between them and the original service provider, and they will say, "You know what, it's enough. It is you that will become a solution provider for them that they are going to switch to." That for me will be my contribution.
Thank you so much for that input, Kunle. So again, similar to what Stephanie said, it's about consistency. What additional value can you add? As a person who is selling a product, you cannot just keep going to the same places without adding something extra, because most likely they already have someone providing that service to them already. So stay consistent, stay true. Also, what I picked up from what Kunle said as well was customer intelligence. Understand the customer, understand their need, understand what competition is not offering them, especially due to complacency, and then fill that gap. If you're able to fill that gap, then you've got a window of opportunity to actually take over that business. So I hope that actually helps you with your cleaning business. Dr. Dipo, I believe that you also have something you'd like to add to this discussion that we're having around, I constantly keep trying and trying, but I'm not getting conversions. What else can we do? Something to just add to what Kunle and Stephanie has said already, maybe?
Yeah, so I just wanted to add that, sometimes, I mean, for the guy who, has a premium brand, for example, sometimes you need to, retell your story. Okay, and you can actually do that by going back to think about the value that you are offering to the customers. Okay, so think about the value, recraft your story and continue telling that story, and also think about your price. I mean, you are not Louis Vuitton or, Rolls Royce or MTN. You don't have a lot of money. And it takes a lot of years to actually build credibility. So you should also consider, sometimes consider reducing your prices because you have to survive. You have bills to pay. So it's okay to be a premium brand. It's okay to target a niche, upper class market, but you also want to ensure that your product and services are affordable. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Dipo. So I hear you say retell your story. So look for the areas of your story that you can amend to fit in with the audience, because you may have originally started your story targeting one specific audience only to find that your products are actually more fitted to someone else. And so you need to retell your story. Ensure that your story has value and think about your price point. So is your entry level price point actually ideal for the audience that you're trying to sell to? And if it's not, then don't be afraid to go ahead and change it. And as time goes on, you will continue to develop. Excellent. Thank you so much. I still find it difficult to narrow my target audience. I'm into kids activities, and it's looking like every mom and dad online, moms especially, is a potential target. I still think it's vague to assume so. How do I find my niche? Elo, any thoughts on that?
So you broke up towards the end of the question. Can you take it again, please?
Oh, so sorry about that. Okay, so the audience, the person asking the question is Adeton, and Adeton is asking that they're trying to figure out how to find their niche. So I'm trying to narrow down my target. I am into kids eduphone activities, and it's looking like every mom or dad online, especially mom, is a potential target audience. I still think it's vague to assume that moms are the target audience, but how do I find my niche? So because I'm into kids activities, I'm assuming the moms are my target audience, but is that a correct assumption? And how do I figure out who actually is my target audience? Could it potentially be the kids themselves and then kids nudge moms? I don't know, but they're trying to figure out, how do you figure out who your target audience is? Because we've all talked about targeting.
Yeah, Josephine, thank you very much for that question. So let's dissect it a bit. And Adetong is an entrepreneur, an innovator, and owns the product. She's not very specific on the age range of the kids she's talking about. If she's talking about teenagers, which will be 12, 13, 14, then they have some say in the choice. And today, those teenagers hold mobile devices and she can reach them on their cell phone and all that. But if you're talking about kids, which are really kids, right? Sub 10 years old, then the parents make those decisions for them. If the parents make those decisions for them, then it's really the parents that is the target market. How do I dissect that niche? I think that technology has helped us, or it's helping us, pay less attention to a broadcast. A broadcast would be, I am into kids, whatever, and I go on radio and tell the whole of Lagos or the whole of Southwest or the whole of Southeast, wherever I'm based, that this is the product that I have. But if this is more experiential activities, or if this is lessons, or if this is toys, then you don't, and your segment or where you're based or the bandwidth of your business, the scale of your business is Lagos State. Lagos is even very big. Maybe the bandwidth of your business is Lagos mainland or Lagos Island. Then you need to think about how can you use technology effectively to zero in on that location, measuring to the bandwidth of your business, to the scale of your business can support. MTN scale is Nigeria, in fact, Africa. My EduForm business can potentially start with being Lekki focused, and I make sure that I reach all the mothers and the fathers in Lekki. Maybe we shouldn't even think about the fathers. Maybe the fathers are very busy doing in the office, or maybe the moms are more natural to think through what the needs of the kids are. You are and I started off talking about being the product owner and the innovator. It's really, how do you think through how you can tell a story? You know, Adetong maybe stronger telling a story to a mother or maybe a father. That's up to you. So it's the confidence of being able to tell that story in a compelling way. Then that's really where the targeting then starts. I think what is also very important is to think through knowing your customer. I think Raul talked about knowing your customer in a different way, but I'll use this lens. Knowing your customer today can go from looking at your WhatsApp. A lot of us have 1,000 connections on our phone. From that 1,000 connections on our phone, we can essentially tell a story and generate feedback. That feedback can be a referral feedback. From 1,000, you grow your target customers to 2,000 just from WhatsApp. Some of us as well may think through, everybody on WhatsApp doesn't have data all the time. How do I reach them in a different way? Can I push messaging on WhatsApp and prompt a video that essentially shows this in a very experiential way? At the beginning of this, we talked about a lot of traffic has gone from offline to online. If we start to tell, at the heart of it is sales or being able to achieve a sale is a funnel. The funnel, first of all, starts off by at 1,000, maybe 10 people will come out of that, and it continues to go down. Your ability to convert is being able to push through the volumes incrementally so that at the end of it, at the end of the funnel, more and more people come out in a consistent way. So the targeting is super important, breaking down that niche from a location standpoint to the channel. How do I reach them? Can I use SMS? Can I use WhatsApp? The people that convert, can I find other people that look like them? This is now where you're going into some technical elements, right? So this platform today is MTN. MTN has put us together. MTN as a business. So if these 10 people that converted, how many other people look like this from a mobile perspective, for instance? And because we are breaking down the niche, how many other people are like these 10 people? There will be 10 times 1,000 people that will be like those 10 people. How do I, wouldn't it be better to focus on those people? So now science is now coming in. How do I apply that science to continue to break down the targeting? And yeah, so it goes on and on and on that way.
That is so informative, Elo. So Elo says, one of the ways you can figure out your niche is trying to first identify what is the age segment of the kids that you are targeting. Once you know the age segment of the kids, then you know whether or not you should be targeting parents, or you should also be looking at adding the kids to your target as well. He says that, use offline marketing to then go online. So use your WhatsApp status, for instance. You've got a lot of contacts on your WhatsApp. Start to use your WhatsApp status to advertise and start to see what are the types of people, who are the types of people that are actually engaging with the content. That already starts to give you your niche. It starts to give you an idea of the sort of people that are interacting with your content. And if you already have an Instagram page and you have been doing a lot of advertising, he's saying start to look at the segment of people. Who are the people engaging with you? You already have your niche based on that. And then you know how to go ahead and target them and start to figure out what are the best channels that you can use for communicating. I believe that, Stephanie, did you also want to answer this question? Did you have anything to add?
Okay, I can add something. Many times, I don't know what phase you are in your business, but many times you need to look at the people who are already buying. Okay, look at them. How do they speak? Where do they live? How do they where do they go to? And when you write out the details of who your past customers are, it's now easier for you to know, to find more of them. Okay. Now, this thing. If your customers, your ideal clients, if she's like a woman who maybe in the lower, she has lower income or something like that, when you speak to her, the way you speak to her will be different from somebody who is high posh. So when you know who exactly you are talking to, it helps you to find more of them, like Elo said. But there's this trick that because the internet is broad and everybody, there are people everywhere, you can make the mistake of now trying to speak to everybody. So the more you get specific, the more specific you get. In fact, somebody should come on your page and know who you're talking to. All right. So the more specific you get, the more you're able to now attract them. Because like I always say, they know themselves, they can attract themselves for you. But if you look at your past clients, see how they are, and then start doing things specifically to attract them, you'll get more and more of them. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Stephanie. Kunle, can you add any field practical examples to this question? So any sales insights in terms of not necessarily using social media at this point, but field insights. Anything from you?
Well, thank you, Josephine. I think what comes to mind quickly would be Gala. If you look at what Gala is doing, or those that are selling Gala on the street in Lagos, Nigeria, for example, who do you think they target? They don't target the person who has the buying decision. So the buying decision is with the father or the mother, but the children are the one who really wants to eat Gala. So if you carry your children, if your children are in your car and they are sitting at the back and you are in front with your wife, you will see that those guys that are selling Gala will not come to the front and be showing you Gala. They will be showing it to your children. And the moment your children sees the Gala, they suddenly start feeling hungry. And they are telling their parents, Daddy, I want Gala. Mommy, I want Gala. Then they start to put pressure. It's even better. Mommies usually will not want to buy, but daddies will, of course, shift, especially if the daughter is at the back. So they buy the Gala. That is the practical way. How about showing what you're selling to children who will now influence their parents? If you don't buy this thing for me, I might just jump off the roof. That kind of behavior. Where do you find the children? In Sunday school, in churches. Their parents are also in church. Well, by the time you start talking to the Sunday school teacher, especially of these high-flying churches. Now, I've not asked you for what you're selling, but if you go to Sunday school of Winners Chapel, for example, there will be children, so many children there whose parents can afford what you're selling. You can also partner with the church and display what you're selling. I mean, a lot of the big churches also, the pastors will do business with you if you're willing to share profit. It's the introductory stage. You will get to a point where people will start to look for this product. But finding children where they are, I think it's pretty easy. They are in churches on Sundays, okay? I'm sure they are also in mosques in some places. So if you're in Lagos, it's actually pretty easy. They're on the streets on Sundays when their parents are taking them to, or you go to their schools. Okay, so if you go to schools in Lagos, for example, or anywhere in Nigeria, and you talk to the school authority, this is what I'm selling. As long as that thing is going to add value to the lives of these children, you can be very sure that there'll be a shift. And of course, consistency, like Stephanie said, is something that you don't want to play with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kunle. Great practical example. Just tempt the children, and the parents will have very little option but to go ahead and buy. So where are the children? And that is where you need to be. I do hope that helps you a lot with your business, and I wish you the best of luck and hope you success as you try out some of these tips that you are getting from today's session. Now, Stephanie, there's a question directed at you from Stephen. And Stephen would like to know, how do I build an online community?
All right. So number one, define your community. What is it going to be about? What are you guys going to be talking about? What are you going to be sharing about? So define it, be very clear. All right. And then speak plain English, as simple as you can. All right. Because online, people don't have time. They are strolling. They don't understand they're moving. All right. So as simply as you can, say what the community be about, say what your business is about, say what your brand is about, and talk about it everywhere. Talk about it in your bio, talk about it in your emails, talk about it in your videos, talk about it in live stream, repeat yourself, okay? The next thing is to think about what problems can you solve for people, all right? So to get people to like you, solve problems first, all right? So like the other panelists have been saying, think about the smallest thing you can do that can solve a problem. So if it's that they say I don't know where to, I don't know where to okay, my children are, for instance, if you have a children brand and you say my children are always screaming, I don't know what to get them to stop screaming. Give tips on how they can stop screaming. All right, give tips on how they can sleep early at night. When you start doing these things, when you start sharing content that can solve problems in the lives of people, what you find is that they just start congregating in your community. So your community can be on any platform. You can find them on Instagram and then bring them to Telegram or WhatsApp. You can find them on Facebook and then bring them to your email list. But you can find them on social media, but then bring them to a platform that you can manage, where you actually have a database. And it's not, if something happens, you always have that database. And then you now remain consistent. I always recommend that you have a schedule. All right, whatever is not scheduled doesn't get done. So today something will happen and you forget about it. So if you have a schedule that keeps you every day or every week, once a week, you show up and you do something, what will happen after a while is that people expect you. So the day you don't show up, they will say, where are you? All right. And that's when your brand has started to get into the routines of other people. Also, do collaborations, okay? So there are many people who are building online communities. Go on a tour, all right? Go to those communities, talk about what you talk about your business, your niche. Be a voice in your industry, be a voice. As you go around to all these different platforms, what will happen is that you'll be gathering people. You get 10 from here, 10 from there, 10 from there, 10 from there, 10 from there. And before you know what's happening, you have 1,000. And the way the algorithm works is that all these things keep growing, it keeps building. All right, so there are many tools that you can use right now. There's so many tools, simple things like if you're on Instagram, things like Instagram Live. All those, if you have an Instagram Live show, for example, what will happen is that maybe the first month or so, it will just be 2 or 5 people or 10 people. But look, if you keep doing that show, you know what's going to happen? Hundreds will start coming, thousands will start coming, and that's how you really, grow this community. I think I've said it a lot, but last but not the least, please be yourself. Okay, so some people will come and they can come with Pune. All right. If you speak Pune, speak Pune. If you don't speak Pune, if you speak Pidgin English, speak Pidgin English. If you speak your own native language, speak your native language. What will happen is that you will find people who will like you just the way you are. They're like, I like the way her accent is. I like the way she laughs. I like the way he frowns. You know, whatever it is, just be true to yourself and you will find your tribe. You'll find a tribe who will go hard for you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. So what I'm hearing from you is first decide on the platform you're most comfortable with that is going to be where you're building your community. So whether it's a vlog or you want to build your community to be an email community, people who are receiving email notifications from you, and then every other social media that you're using, ensure that you have the tag for where you want to be communicating with your community so that you constantly keep building from there. But what I also hear from you is it's about your persona. Make sure that your persona comes out in whatever it is you're doing. And also make sure you're adding value. So if you're going to build a community, what's your community about? And make sure that you have an answer and you're giving them daily tips on whatever it is. So for instance, if you want to have a cooking community, make sure you're giving daily tips on how they can change it up a bit in terms of their cooking. And whatever social media you're using, whether it's Instagram Live, WhatsApp, make sure you keep driving people back to your vlog where you're constantly giving information on whatever cooking tips that you have. I think that's just brilliant. Thank you so much for that. I think a lot of us are going to be building communities after this one. So well done. Okay, Dr. Dipo, I think this one is right up your alley. So I've got someone here called Learning Quester, and he says that thank you, MTN team and our dear facilitators, panelists. Please, I'm into study abroad business. Referrals have worked best for me, sorry, but not enough to generate good business at all time. I use various social media options to advertise, but always get the wrong targets. People that cannot afford to pay for the services or the school fees to study abroad. They are always more interested in scholarship programs, but are not even eligible for scholarship. So how do I get the right leads for my business? Because my business is about study abroad. Dr. Dipo, you're in that sector. So any tips, any advice, any way you can help this?
Okay, so
this
I'm actually
individual?
laughing because this person is a potential competitor to BTDT Hub because we also render study abroad services. But you know, luckily enough for me, I'm in the UK. You know, I have access to universities I can do partnerships with. So my first point to that person, or my first, you know, message to that person is, instead of advertising, you know, more or less to individuals, you know, try to advertise, try to have partnerships with the universities, because the universities are going to pay you £500 or £1,000 for bringing candidates their way, or even more. So for candidates who actually want to study abroad, you render the services to them for free. Okay, and you want to make sure that, you know, you, once again, targeted marketing. You are not targeting the whole of Nigeria. You're not targeting every 18 to 35-year-old. You are targeting people who attend private universities. You are targeting, you know, folks who attend state or federal universities, but that their parents are well-to-do. Okay, and you know, there are places where you meet these people, online, offline. You have to decide, you know, what sort of events you attend, and of course your brand tone and element as well on social media. Okay, so what do you say? I mean, if you say, if you do giveaway on a daily basis, you know, people will associate you with giveaway, and only people who are looking for scholarship would actually come to you. Okay, so you want to ensure that, I mean, it's okay to do giveaways, but don't let that be, you know, your main driving force in building a community and building followership. And you also want to ensure that you build credibility. I mean, there are companies that have been in the game for 15, 20 years. I'm not going to mention their names because we have been, you know, in the study abroad business in the last 5 years, and we are growing. The market is young, the market is fresh. If you actually build credibility, and once again, it takes time. So if you build credibility, people are going to come to you. I know a lot of people actually just focus on Lagos and Abuja. If you go to Port Harcourt, Enugu, go to Kaduna, go to Kano, there are loads of rich people who can afford to send their children abroad. You know, people who can afford to study abroad, pay the fee tuition and pay accommodation and pay for your services as well. So don't limit yourself to Lagos and Abuja. Nigeria is beyond Lagos and Abuja. Thank you, Josephine.
Thank you so much for giving that insight. So you talked a lot about understanding your target audience. You have to go to specific universities and target students from those types of universities. Your product clearly is not for everyone based on the entry price point. So you need to be able to create events that are targeted at those sorts of individuals. You also talked about the importance of ensuring that your tone on social media speaks to what it is that you're offering. So if you're going to be doing freebies 247, then people are going to assume that you're going to be able to offer them a lot of freebies. You talked about ensuring that you are able to provide the right level of content as well. So if you are looking at ensuring that you get the right sort of audience, it might also be good for you to think about who else can you partner with? What other institutions also offer some level of support? So it may not be full scholarships, but there might be some level of support that they can give. This gives credibility. It shows that you're in partnership with other organizations that are in the same field and also offer students some sort of financial support or educational support. Then you also talked about location. People are so fixated on Lagos and Abuja, but you talked about going to other areas like Port Harcourt, Kano, Enugu, Delta, to look for people who are also interested in study abroad. I love it. Thank you so much for that input, Dr. Dipo. Then I have another interesting question here. How can an event management company currently utilizing smart marketing amidst the lure in the events industry? Okwe, do you want to take a stab at this?
Can you take the question again?
How can an event company leverage on smart marketing?
Okay, so what I've seen consistently from every other speaker when they've been talking about suggesting how they can people can get customers is developing trust and giving back, like being kind, and on a scale it's how they engage their potential customers, because for now there are no events, but if you continue to engage potential customers or the customers that you used to have before now, before the pandemic, I mean, before the event industry went into a law, you engage them about, okay, just finding out about their business, finding out how the business is doing, so that you keep a constant engagement until when the event industry starts to come back, because customers don't really remember people who remembered them when they were going through the challenges. And because human beings are generally very social, we will go back to, we're all eager and looking forward to going back to our event seasons and going back to all going back to the normal. It might never go back to the normal, but what these event companies can then do is, what are they doing to ensure the safety of event attendees? What steps are they taking to ensure that whatever events that they do would not have, they won't have any challenges when the attendees come? There won't be any form of outbreak of corona, or just the steps they're taking. I think that will go a long way. So while the business is not coming, they're putting out a lot of content that can help their potential customers to keep abreast of what is happening in the industry, in the general environment. And when the event season comes back, then they will be on top of the list of customers or vendors that will be used.
Thank you very much, Okwe. So customers remember those who remember them. So during this period, while events are not in full swing, we should try and ensure as an events business owner that you continue to engage with your customers constantly and make sure that you are constantly giving them ideas as well with regards to different event teams, different ideas that they can use when they are finally back to running their events. I think that's a really, really good one. Thank you so much. Yes, Elo, please.
I think that this is we are currently in an event that has that's had 800 people. And I think that this guy who's running an event business, a firm way, as Okwe said, of engaging with your customer is to essentially innovate in the times. Things may not return back to how they were before. And the best way to elicit or to continue to elicit your customers' interest is to find ways of having virtual events with them today. And traffic, I think somebody made that comment initially, and I think it's very, very spot on. And that is actually a strong theme around marketing and sales for the times. A lot of online traffic, a lot of offline traffic, sorry, physical traffic has moved online. So if that is the theme across reaching your customer and engaging with your customer, how does that affect the events industry? And that is how you need to think about your business of event management. There's a lot of innovation going on in events. Events are being held. There are even stronger interactive channels being created. And somebody needs to seize that and own it in this part of the world. It may be you. So the best way of engaging with your customer today is to start planning virtual events. When the physical starts, the virtual is never going to go away because habits are formed in 21 days. Habits have already been formed. There'll be some physical events. However, the days of virtual is here to stay.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Elo. So we are now in the new normal. Even when the pandemic is completely gone, we will not 100% be in a situation where physical events are the only form of events. We're currently having an event right now. So please be innovative. Look at what sort of events are you currently into? If they're parties, how can you incorporate online into that? Because once the pandemic goes, people will continue to stay with the event planners that have been the most innovative during this period. I love it. Okwe, did you have something to add to that?
No, I agree with you. Innovation is key. Things have changed. I don't exactly agree with the new normal. I think it's the normal for now. But when as things evolve, we'll be able to define what exactly we are. But I absolutely agree that as much engagement that you're having, you can also be doing online events. This kind of event, if it had been done physically, you might not have 800 people sitting in the room. But what online events or virtual events have given is to extend the reach, which also then creates a new business segment for that kind of event company, that you can do events for anybody anywhere in the world. As long as you can create the content is appropriate for the audience and people would attend. So absolutely, innovation is key and people have to innovate, innovate or die. That's the saying. And with this pandemic, many things have changed. It might never go back to normal. I believe that human beings are generally social. We're looking forward to do physical events, but we would continue to have the virtual ones.
Thank you very much for that, Okwe. Rahul, there's a message here for you from Anemikeye, and it says, Rahul D mentioned brand trust. Do brand trust envisage brand loyalty?
A very interesting question. The way I see brand loyalty and brand trust, the brand trust is built over a certain period of time. It is not overnight that you can build it, because people, will consume your product, they will consume your services. And as I keep on saying that every touch point is a moment of truth. Every time you fail, you are chipping at your brand trust and your brand loyalty a little by little by little. So all great companies, all iconic brands, if you see, the customer experience, the customer journey is the closest to their heart, right from the CEO of the company to a management trainee. Everybody is living that, the product, the customer experience, the customer journey, because it's so critical, particularly in a service industry where, every time you are interacting, every time you are using the product, like example, it is not working, the content is not happening, something or some small element is not working. A user will not blame the person who is providing that content, but maybe blame the person who's providing that content, streaming it online, offline, whatever. So brand loyalty and brand trust go hand in hand. It's not like one of the other. And the thing is like this, that once you have gained the trust of somebody over a period of time, then the person becomes loyal to your brand and then becomes an ambassador of your brand. And all iconic brands, I would like to give examples of, let's say, an Apple and all those. It's not like 2007 when Apple was launched and suddenly overnight they build a trust and they build a loyalty. They first build an ecosystem. They kept on giving good quality products. So the first and foremost point is, whether it is this period of pandemic or normal, doesn't matter, but your quality, your service quality, your product quality should never suffer. You should not cut corners, because it may bite and hurt your margins for a small time. But if you want to earn the trust and loyalty of your customers over a longer period of time, it's critical that you maintain the quality, which on the first day of your product launch or first day of your service launch, you had said that this is the quality standard, gold, bronze, platinum, whatever the standard I have, this is the standard I'll be offering you. Any fall from there because of cutting corners will lead to a longer term churn, lead to a longer term people having more options. They will look at other products and services. Please also remember that you are not a monopolistic brand. There are many other brands offering the same kind of products and services in the country, whichever category SME is from. So it's very critical, and more critical during these hard times where a customer or a user is looking for a quality, and he or she feels that you're cheating on quality by reducing and giving at the same price. That is where they will start feeling the pinch, and you will lose the loyalty of the person after losing the trust of the person first. That is my own view on this. I may not be right all the time, but I'm just saying that this could lead to a longer time chipping of your loyalty. So trust leads to loyalty over a longer period of time.
Thank you so much, Rahul. So trust leads to loyalty. So yes, you do 100% believe that brand loyalty and brand trust go hand in hand. You said we need to remember that whatever business you're in, chances are you're not a monopoly. And if you're not a monopoly, then it's important that you find a way to stand out, and quality of service is one of the best ways to go ahead and do that, even if it erodes a bit into your profit margins. But the reality is, if you're able to give that quality of service, then chances are people are going to become your brand ambassador. They're going to stick with you for the long run. Thank you so much for that. Customer experience is critical. How do you ensure that you give your customers the best possible experience so that they always want to stay with you? I love it. I have another question here, Rahul, before you run off. I think I'd like this question to be answered by yourself and Kunle, because I think it's applicable to both of you somehow. I've got an Aziz here, and Aziz wants to know, is there any difference between sales and marketing?
My brother Kunle is around. So, sales and marketing are just two parts of the coin. Let's put it this way. The way I see it is, it's not too much difference. Kunle knows more than me on the whole part about, but my own take is that, look, if you want to do any kind of a sale in the market, you need to talk about your product. So marketing is all about talking about the features, the advantages, and the benefits of the product. I won't go into too much of detailing, but the whole science of marketing is about finding that look, my brother Kunle has an army of people going into the market, and every day, like digging a, let's say, a well, taking out water. Now I have to tell, my team has to tell, where do we dig that hole? Where do we dig that water? Where is water available? You know, that is the most critical part of what we do. And telling and talking to the sales team about the areas where we find that there is a gap or there's a potential is very critical. What is the segment? You know, some of our panelists, you know, esteemed panelists also talked about segments, which is geographical, which could be, you know, demographic. It is a lot of segmentation you do. And what is the pricing? What is the price point at which, you know, the product will sell? What is the features you need to build? What is the uniqueness of the product? That is all about the packaging and the selling and the positioning. This is about the marketing. But without the sales, marketing is just toothless. You know, we cannot keep on doing marketing until there is any sale through. So that's my own view on that. Kunle has more, I'm sure, will add nuggets of information on that whole thing.
I'm not sure I have more. You have actually dealt with it appropriately. Just to say that in very practical terms. So if you look at what we do in MTN today, okay, so I take the SIM card, for example, to a market, say Kanti market, Katinkori market in Kano. And I'm asking that people should come and subscribe to MTN network because, of course, as you are all aware, it's the best network in Nigeria today. The question those guys were asking me is, why should it be MTN? Why not any other one? My responsibility is to take it to that market where the customers are. Okay, so it's called availability. And if you look at, you know, the marketing jargons, the 5 P's of marketing, product, place, promotion, etc., etc. The place part of it is this availability thing. I take it from here to where the customers are. Okay, I did mention that we do project rescue. You need high net flex. You need MiFi because you want the best quality data network. But you're at home, you cannot come out. My job as a salesman is to take it to you. If I take it to you and you now say something like, oh, well, how come it's coming with no data at all? I don't want to choose it because there's no proposition. There's no reason for me to buy it. Now, the reason for you to buy it will be provided by marketing. So marketing is busy creating the reasons why different set of people must pick different things that we are selling. My job is making sure that, yes, I understand what they are asking for. I feed it back to marketing so that they can provide what the customers are looking for. My responsibility as a salesperson is to make it available where the customers are. So like Rahul rightly said, it's two sides of the same coin. Okay, while one is cooking it, another one is making sure that it's available at the point of purchase. I hope that summarizes how I see difference in sales and marketing. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you so much, Rahul and Kunle. I think that you guys have done a fantastic job in identifying in explaining the differences between sales and marketing. So one is the communication, the proposition, and the identification of the segments that the products and service is going to be delivered to. And the other one talks about the distribution, how to get the product to the last mile, how to ensure customer is able to receive the product, how to convince the customer using the propositions that were created by the marketing team to actually ensure customers go ahead and continue to buy. Brilliant. We also had our yellow poll put up. So please go ahead and answer the questions. These questions form part of the selection criteria to be part of our yellow 200. So please make sure that you go ahead and participate in the poll that was just put up. We still have a few more questions coming through. So let me just look at what our next question will be. Okay, so we have another question here. For a business without online presence at the moment, how do I start the online integration process? Elo, any help with that?
Yes, an online what process?
Sorry, for a business with no online presence at all, I already have a business. My business been running for some time, but I'm completely offline. So how do I start my online process?
A business that has been running for some time, how do I start my online process? I think first of all is to get in and try. So how do you build a brand? You need to have a name that is consistent across channels. If your name is Tony today, Anthony tomorrow, and then Tony Tornado next tomorrow, it means different things across different channels. So first of all, consistent naming. That is the first way to build trust, as Raul said. If you have different names on different platforms, it means different things. So first of all, get in, have a consistent name, and then what product am I trying to sell? Defining that product will be super important. If the product is targeted at people that have money, the way you communicate with people that have money is different from the way you communicate to people who don't have as much. And if your product is for ladies, the way you communicate the product is going to be very different from the way you communicate the product if it's for kids or if it's for men, and if it's for men that are older, and if it's for... So it's important to define the product in very clear terms. Everything you do, measure online. Offline doesn't give you, it gives you some measurement, but online, it's super important to measure. And that measurement is at the heart of what you're doing. So for instance, I have a product, I sell football. And the footballs I sell are priced at the middle of the market. It's not very expensive, it's not very cheap. Who are the people that I need to sell my football to? I have to then target the football to different locations in, say, in Lagos or, yeah, wherever it is. And those locations, if it's mid-market, it can cut across. So I need to go in the middle of the market, where do people who can afford this amount of money live? And if I get responses from people who are lower, at the lower tier of the market, I need to, through measurement, I know that this football is attractive to these people as well. And I increase the reach of that service. So online is also a massive, it's also a very big place. I think that you would do well to focus on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as social channels, I think, and then WhatsApp. I think those are very strong channels to focus on as a start. I would also ask that you think through a more native channel, like being able to understand your customer. And this understanding your customer would require that you know who your customer is by mobile phone number. And why is this important? This is important in the age we're getting into, where privacy has started to become a topical issue. It may not be that much of an issue today in Nigeria, but in a year's time, it will become a front burner. It will be in the front burner. Companies like Facebook and Google are taking steps to protect their community from privacy. So for businesses who are trying to get online, take an edge, have an Excel sheet with details of who your customers are, because your customers, by engaging with you, there's an implied consent via social media channels to allow you to drive that engagement. So you should store that and keep it as a valuable asset for your business. This has not been a very structured response, but the online space is not, it's not a blanket. It's you have to look at it as several things, and you need to go in, try, learn, apply your learnings, and try again.
Thank you so much, Elo. Dipo, did you have anything you would like to add to this? Chiming your voice to this question, how do I move my business from offline to online? Elo's given a lot of brilliant ideas, which I'll summarize in a minute, but I wanted to know if there was anything you'd like to add as well.
No, I think it's actually, answered the question excellently. The most popular platforms are Twitter, Instagram, and of course, Facebook. So make sure you have a consistent name and brand, on those platforms. And, all those platforms should actually, link customers back to your website. If that is the platform you're using, taking payments. So, make sure you have a website as well. It is important that you have websites. It is important that you collect data. So you have, like a subscription email subscriber or subscription list. I don't know what they call it in Nigeria. Just so people actually drop their emails, their phone numbers. Once again, make sure you follow the rules and regulations of the country. So, in Nigeria, for example, I don't know how long you can hold anyone's email address, or if you need explicit consent, from the people who give you their emails and their phone numbers to actually contact them. So you need to ensure that you know what the rules, the laws, and the regulations are and comply with them. But I think Elo has actually done justice to that question.
Thank you very much. So what I'm hearing from both gentlemen is, Elo said it's very important that when you want to start out, you define what your products are, you define who your segments are, and that will help you determine which social media platforms you should be focused on, because there are quite a lot of them out there. He suggested considering Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Diko said, have a website. Make sure you have a website, and then you're able to link all of your other social media handles back to your website. Another thing that people seem to forget is when they send out emails, you have the signature part of your email, which you should always have your website and your social media handles. As I said earlier, it takes about 7 impressions before you actually get a conversion. So the more visible your social media handles are to your customers, the better a chance you're going to get an interaction from them. So quite brilliant. Thank you so much, Elo and Diko, for that. So I think we're coming towards the end of today's session, and we've got quite a lot of interesting content from our panel. Before we end, however, I would like to just quickly ask each and every one of you for one last advice that you would give. If you had one advice that you could give to an entrepreneur or a small business, whether they're a startup or they've been around for a while, what would that advice be? But before I go ahead and start with Elo, I would like to just quickly remind everyone that we do have the yellow poll. Please go ahead and participate in our yellow poll, respond to the poll. The poll is very important because it is one of the criteria for you participating in our yellow clinic later on, and you really want to be one of the lucky people who are selected to participate in that. Loads of great trainings coming with that. If you think this session was very useful, you definitely don't want to miss that. So please go ahead and fill out the yellow poll. So Elo, let's go ahead and start with you. One advice for our entrepreneurs.
Yeah, thanks very much for that. So first of all, I'll try and go about it from maybe applying science to it, which will be, there are over 100 million mobile phone connections in Nigeria today. When we talk about sales, marketing, online, what we're talking about really is mobile. And at the heart of it, when I think about my customer, the chances of my customer having a mobile phone is very powerful. And the touch point, the digital touch point across the world today is mobile. And mobile is being powered by software at the heart of it. So everybody out there, entrepreneurs, product owners, whatever it is you're selling, to get to the eyeballs of your user, think mobile. To think mobile, you must get in, first of all. If you're not in, you will not be able to take the risk. If you don't take the risk, you cannot learn. If you don't learn, you'll be left behind. So the key here will be get in, take the risk involved, learn, And as you learn, you would win and you would double down on that. So get in, try, take the risk, and learn.
Thank you so much, Elo. Dr. Dipo, one advice from yourself.
Yes, so my advice to young entrepreneurs or folks who are just coming in, is to listen to feedback. So listen to feedback from your customers and make sure you are real, because people can actually see, through the, people can actually see when people are being fake or not being original. Okay, make sure you are real, be a person of value, make sure you add value. And, if you continue doing that over time, you would build credibility and build a brand that people would speak positively about, and other people would keep coming to you for business.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dipo. Okwe, parting words from you, one advice for our audience.
Okay, thank you very much. I would agree with people. I would go from the point of trust. All the entrepreneurs should not focus on just delivering their passion. It's all about the customer and building trust with the customer. And you do it gradually. No cutting of corners. We have a market. The market is out there. Nigeria is a huge market. If you deliver the right product that the market wants, and you build trust over time, you can own that market. So build trust by having credibility of the product, reliability, people can depend on it. And the sky is just the beginning for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stephanie, parting words from you, one advice for our entrepreneurs and business owners.
Okay, I'd like you to remember to show up. Show up every day. Show up. Look, there's something unique about you. You may not realize it, but I'm telling you, you're already unique. You have a unique story. You have a unique brand. You have a unique business. So every day, just do something, like do a post, go live, just do something small. Talk about the things that you're doing. Many times we think that the things we're doing, we take them for granted, but talk about it. Show people a tour of your store, your office. Just start talking to people online. Show up consistently. And I don't know how to explain this to you. Like there's nothing bad that can happen. The only thing that happen to you is sales. All right. So please, don't be afraid that the social media is not scary. Show up.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. People, you heard it. Show up. Rahul, one word from you for our entrepreneurs.
Yeah, thank you, Josephine. My own point is that, as young entrepreneurs, we need to challenge ourselves and always be doing a gap analysis. What I mean by gap analysis, there are many routes from point A to point B. The shortest route is always not the correct route. There are many routes to the, from point to point. Now, to do that, you need to also listen to your own team, because they have this solid information, which is always for the betterment of the organization. So listen to your own people, listen to feedback, and challenge yourself that what am I doing? Is it the correct thing, or can I do it in a better way, in a more efficient way? That is the most critical thing for any entrepreneur to be successful. Challenge yourself. What you are doing correct, it may not be correct for the future today. That's very critical.
Thank you, Rahul. And to wrap up today's discussion, I would like to ask Kunle to share his final tip and advice on how a business owner can make the most of their limited marketing budget. Kunle, final tip from you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, everyone. I think it's been extreme energy today. I love the passion and the energy. Stephanie, I'm assuring you that, okay, we will all show up and show up a lot more. I'll just wrapping up. I'll go back to the beginning. And of course, if you watch well and listen well, there will be some giveaways also that I'd like to put on the table, just to make life very easy for the participants of today. At the beginning, if you remember, Benedipo did mention that presence on social media is very important. And of course, he spoke about Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, depending on who your target market is, or the target segment, the segment that you're targeting. Okay, you mentioned Telegram, you mentioned YouTube. There is one particular one that I want to give to you on the platter of gold. It's called Ayoba. If you have not downloaded Ayoba yet, I want you to download it today, because, and I'll tell you why. If you download Ayoba now on your Android devices, we don't have it on iOS yet, but most of the activities you'll be having on Ayoba are free. Okay, free messaging. And of course, it's powered by MTN. So download it, and if you have up to 10, 20 people in your company, it does mean that you can set up a group on Ayoba where chats amongst yourselves will be free. Okay, that will even bring down your cost, and you will achieve the same objective. So Ayoba is something I want to drop on the table for you to address this first point. Second thing I like to say on presence on social media is, please, whatever you can get for free, don't pay for it. Okay, all your staff have phones. They all are sending messages on social media. The question is, what messages are they sending? Is it possible that none of them they're not even mentioning the name of your company or what you're selling on their timelines? So if you check my timeline, 99% of the time, what you will find on my timeline, so it's easy to say, oh, MTN is big, MTN has this. But if MTN says, for example, they have 3,000 staff, we have what we call Yellow Social Army. On our timelines, what we'll always find on our timelines are the products and the services and the offerings of MTN. Convert all your staff today to advocates of your products. Can you imagine that some people, their spouses, are not even using what they are selling? You have not even finished selling to your family and friends. You cannot be a member of my family, for example, and use another network that is not MTN. Convert all your close allies, all your friends, all your significant others, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever it is, convert them to your customers first of all. I think for me, that is the starting point. If each and every of your staff, if you have 10 staff and each of them sell to 10 people using their platforms for free, is a good start for you. We've learned today that we need to segment our market. Let us know the kind of people that we want to sell to. Yes, we attack them on social media, but we have to put our rubber on the road to go to where they congregate. And my language in MTN is where 2 or 3 people are gathered. Yes, we know Jesus is there with them for Christians, but for those of us that work in MTN, MTN must be there as well. So anywhere you see 2 or 3 people gathered at weddings, funerals, whatever, any party that is going on, MTN is there. The question for you as an SME is, are you there? If you are not there, you need to also show up there. Be on social media, but put your feet on the ground, and also be there with them. Try a few things, take risks, do as much good things as you can to ensure that you stay in the face of your customers. So Rahul did mention that retention is cheaper. Okay, you cannot retain your customers if you don't give them good experience. You cannot collect money from someone that you want to sell stone to the person, and at the end of the day, you deliver sand, and you want the person to come back. Okay, I don't know how to say that very well in English. It's more apt in my language. Okay, you cannot collect money for sand for stone. You say, oh, I'll deliver gravel to you, only for you have collected the money. You now deliver sand. Do you think somebody else will buy from you, aside the fact that you have lost this particular customer? So you must build trust, and you must also be trustworthy. Okay, your customers must trust you because they will tell others about you. And when you tell others about you, you win more customers and you retain the ones that you have. That's what we got from Rahul. From Ilo, it says, tell a compelling story, okay, in the language of the people. Okay, there used to be one telecom company in Nigeria that has that byline. We speak your language. You must speak the language that your people understand. And of course, Stephanie summarized it well by saying, sure, okay, sure, every day. Every day is not Christmas, but one day, that door that you have been knocking, because even the Bible admonishes us to knock without ceasing. Just keep knocking, just keep asking, and one day the door will open and of course, your business blossoms. Before we know what is happening, you will be in the stock exchange. Okay, so people buy when they become comfortable. So if people don't trust you, they will not buy from you. People only buy from people that they like. How do you create that likability where people will start to, and of course, it comes from trust as well. Consistency is very key. I mean, all the speakers from where everyone alluded to the fact that you need to be consistent. Same name here. I mean, everywhere I follow Dipo on different platforms, and I know that it's Ogbeni Dipo across all those platforms. And of course, I was also inspired to build my own personal brand by also making that consistency. Thank you, Dipo. I never told you this, but it's something that I got from visiting your site. I mean, so in capping it up, I've told you about Ayoba. Download it. Of course, messages on it are free. Now, if you now want to, it's been raining since, and you can even see the quality of the presentations. Nobody went off. It is because we are all using the good quality MTN data 4G network. I'm using HiNet Flex, and you can see the kind of quality that despite the rainfall. So if you are desirous of having the kind of internet that works, because showing up also means that you need to have the right internet support. So if you don't have the right internet, how will you show up? So it's slow, people are swiveling, people are trying to leave a message, they get tired, they fall off. If you have not upgraded your number to 4G, I will leave a phone number for you where you can send us WhatsApp messages. And of course, part of what we said is do door to door, deliver to the people. So we will want to deliver to you. So I will leave a number, leave a WhatsApp message for us, and we will deliver to you. You might also now decide that, okay, because of the quality of the network that I've mentioned now, you want to port as well to MTN. You are welcome. We will welcome you, and we can come and do it for you at home. So order your MiFis, HiNet Flex, we'll deliver to you at home. And the number that I will leave is 0702 500 then 0040. I will leave the number again. 0702 500 0040. I hope you all got that. On that note, I think if I'm trying to tell you how to be good salespeople and I cannot sell to you, you will also agree that I've not done a good job. Thank you very much, everyone, for the session. Thank you. Over to you, Josephine.
Thank you so much, Kunle, salesman per excellence. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we have covered a lot of ground today, and it's been a fantastic session. I really want to appreciate all of you that have stuck with us from the beginning of the session. And for those of you who joined us halfway, we appreciate you. We thank you so much. To my amazing panel, thank you so much for giving us all of this intelligence that an MBA course could probably not even churn out. Thank you so, so much. We appreciate it. Our goal is to keep these discussions relevant to you and to ensure the discussion keeps on going. So if there's any topic that you would like us to continue to cover, please send us a message on our social media handles, and we will ensure that in subsequent sessions, we take those on board. Next week's masterclass is going to be on Thursday, September 17th, and the theme of that is Bridging the Healthcare Divide, Truth, Technology, and Partnership. The link for the masterclass will be sent by email as always, as well as by SMS to those who have registered. You can go ahead and register on www.mtnbusiness.com.ng/Revv Programme. Remember, those who register for the Revv Programme and attend the masterclass stand a chance to be showcased at our Business Crush of the Day, where we showcase the SMEs across all our social medias, and that's free advertising for you right there. There is also the opportunity to be named as one of the Yellow 200 who will benefit from productive support, market access, advisory service, amongst other things. So please make sure that you go ahead and register and participate. Thank you all so much once again for being part of this session. I hope you did enjoy it. My name is Josephine Sarup. Thank you for having been with us today. Have a lovely day.